फीडबॅक कसलं आहे? आवाज चेक करा. फीडबॅक आहे कुठं अनिकेत अभी किया मैंने वहाँ. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you can hear me. Today will be starting our first day of FDB, which is 5 days FDB, and the topic of FDB, all of you are aware, is basically the entrepreneurship in testing of material and consultancy, and in the bracket we have written NABL. Now this topic is how did we arrive at this topic? Basically, we used to do a lot of brainstorming in our department, civil department. Okay, what should be the because there are so many problems nowadays. Now you are thinking, you are facing COVID is one of them. Then there are no jobs. Private jobs are less, government jobs are less, and the condition of engineering colleges because of admissions and all is difficult. Now the question comes, ki, what should be our direction of motion now? What should we do? So we thought on this, and then over a brainstorming, it occurred to us ki if we see all engineering colleges have a lab. Okay. Now, if we have a lab which is NABL accredited, National Accreditation Body for Laboratory, which is a government body, and if you get accreditation from NABL, then in that case you are an authority for testing of material. Now you would be thinking, how do we link NABL with entrepreneurship and all? So let me clear this particular thing. If you are NABL accredited, first of all, the government departments, private colleges, private institutions, all of them will come to you for testing. You have an authority for testing. Okay. Now, in that case, if you are able to do testing, suppose you are able to do testing, then if you are able to do testing, then obviously when the people come for testing, you will be having some say in consultancy also. So there is a relationship between testing and consultancy, and then a further step of entrepreneurship. For example, we have where our college is located, there are various housing societies, and in those housing societies, you have sewage treatment plant, right? Now, if a lab is accredited, we have a proper testing method, then the sewerage will come to you from the housing societies, and then you will say ki BOD is XY, the BOD as per norm is 10 suppose, and it is coming 40, then you can say ki this BOD is not sufficient, and then please improve your plant. So when improvement of plant comes into picture, all of us are faculties, we understand environmental engineering. There may be some problem in aeration unit. The size of aeration tank may be less or more, or there may not be a proper organisms in the aeration tank for doing the aeration. So we can pinpoint the problem, and then the consultancy can be generated. So that is one of the method so that we become entrepreneurs. College can become entrepreneur. Why not? Because our department can become entrepreneur, and over a long term, it can be sustainable also. So this is how the link. NABL, NABL proper testing. See the difference between medical college and engineering college. What is the difference? You see the medical college faculties and all, they are too good in their profession because they are at their profession continuously. Such is not the case with engineering colleges. Engineering colleges, we know most of us are confined to basically teaching and some research. But if we enter in the market and do real-time consultancy through NABL labs, because NABL labs, if you see, Bureaucrat, for example, is in Pune, CSRL is there. So Bureaucrat, you will be surprised to know that they have a lot of consultancy work besides testing. So that should be the ultimate journey, because as a faculty, we are competent enough to test and do consultancy, because you see the people who are working on site are basically engrossed in site. Okay, they are busy in day-to-day affairs. So the civil engineering, the hardcore civil engineering aspect is lacking in them. So why not our engineering colleges take that particular job and move forward? So that's how we, the faculty, came to the conclusion, if we have NABL labs in our colleges, we can have a good consultancy, and then ultimate step is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship can be done by department, can be do individual also. So not wasting much time on that. So we have 5 days workshop, and also we have touched upon the procedures for NABL, how does one get NABL, and the lab which are NABL accredited, we will be having speakers from those lab who will be responsible for basically telling us what changed their life. That is one. And then we have a geotechnical expert also from a bureaucrat who will be explaining the challenges in geotechnical engineering. How did he face the problem in field and all. So these are the things which will be our journey towards the throughout our 5 days journey. Okay. Now, not wasting much of time, I welcome Mr. Sadanand Kukade with us, who is the first speaker, and he will throw light on his particular speech. Before that, I would like to welcome Mr. Kukade. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And not stopping between him and the audience. Kindly continue.
Good afternoon, everybody. I will quickly tell you who am I. Of course, you are able to see me, but still it is required to tell you all who am I. I am basically electronics engineer, but don't be scared. I will be talking about the system, the laboratory accreditation system. So whether I am a civil engineer or electronics engineer, that doesn't matter at all. For your kind information, even I have supported the nowadays well-known institution called as NIV, National Institute of Virology, who are in the virology activity, and even their laboratory accreditation, I have supported them. Even currently I am supporting Serum Institute and all that. So basically discipline doesn't matter. The system, what is required for the purpose is most important, and we will be talking today about that. So my dear friends, be confident that whatever I will tell you today will be definitely of some valuable inputs to you, and don't worry that I am electronics engineer or not. So that is not an important point. Okay, so myself Sadanand Kukade. Basically, I'm electronics engineer, as I told you, and I have got a background about say 48 years or so. I started my career in one of the DRDO labs in Pune. That time it was called as ERDL, Explosive Research Development Laboratory. Now it is called as HTMRL, High Energy Materials Research Laboratory. which is on Pasha and Sutarwadi area. So I worked there for a period of 9 years, and in 81 I shifted to the activity called as ETDC, Electronics Test and Development Center, which is in Agriculture College campus, Shivajinagar, who are involved in testing and calibration. Those days we were restricting the things only for electronics, electrical, but nowadays all the other disciplines also being supported for testing and calibration. That time it was under, of course, the control of the state corporation. Where we have got n number of labs or a network of test calibration centers all over the country, except Jammu and Kashmir. We are in every state for testing and calibration. And naturally, this is not the point whether the activities are discipline wise or not, but the calibration of the equipments which are being used for the purpose of making measurements is required to be done. Now, before I start the detailed discussion on the lab accreditation, let us talk a couple of things about. First thing is that whatever measurements we are making in the laboratory are required to be genuine in nature. Those should be right first time, and that is why a proper care is required to be taken, and that can be automatically taken care of if the laboratory is having a NABL or 17025 accreditation. Because no sooner you aim for the accreditation, the requirement of ensuring the results of measurement, either in a test laboratory or a calibration laboratory, automatically are taken care of. Of course, this can be discussed in detail when we get a chance to discuss with you the detailed discussion on the standard based on which we are going to frame our system. That is ISO IEC 17025, the 2017 version. Okay, but we'll try to touch it little bit if possible, because now the overall time available is about 1 hour here and there, a few minutes, but let us try to look into what this concept is. Now, one very important point is that people always try to use the words accreditation and certification exchangeably, very comfortably, which is absolutely wrong. What is accreditation? Accreditation is having two C's involved. One is the compliance and second is the competence. Now this competence part is additional to the certification. If you go for ISO 9001 certification, only the compliance part is being looked into, and whatever are the requirements as per the set standard, if those are being met, the organization, activity or institution, whatever it is, gets a ISO 9001 certification. But the competence part, that second one, that is the compliance plus competence, as I was saying, C plus C, C plus plus nahi, C plus C. The compliance plus competence is requirement of the accreditation. What is this competence? I think most of you know the M's. M's mean not AIM, but capital M. The main, into bracket women, of course, the method, the material, the milieu, environment, that is the machines and all those who are involved in this generation of the testing results or calibration results are required to be competent enough to generate the results. Now, why this competence is required? Because it is a very important concept that the results generated by the lab should be right first time, RIGST right first time. For which purpose, the competency of all the M's involved is definitely a requirement, and that is covered in the second C, that is the competence, and that is why the persons involved, the equipments involved, the methods involved, the environment in the lab, everything has to be competent enough so that the aim of producing the results right first time is really achieved for. And that is why the laboratory activity which generates the test, measurement or calibration results has to go for accreditation. Just ISO 9001 certification is not sufficient, as the results quality cannot be ensured in the certification process. So, my dear friends, as I understand it, everybody of you is aiming for going for the accreditation of your laboratory. Please ensure that no sooner you become an accredited laboratory, please do not say that our laboratory is 17025 or NABL certified. It is definitely accreditation certification has been accorded to you and all that. So please use the word accreditation time to time, no sooner you become a accredited lab, so that the person on the other side of the chair will be able to understand that yes, this is not just compliance, but the compliance plus competence both are really being taken care of in the laboratory activity. Because to achieve the results right first time, the competence is most important. Just the compliance part is not sufficient. Anyway, so this is the thing about the compliance and the competition. So competence. Now another very important point is that there has to be a map. A map is not the Naksha or Nakasha in Marathi, but it has to be the measurement assurance program. Whatever measurements are being made in the laboratory, those are to be in a very systematized manner, properly traceable, so that the competence and the compliance part can be taken care of. I will give a different example here. See how the compatibility is required to achieve, or how it gets achieved through this map. Suppose you are using a very simple equipment like a steel tape, like I think, which is the very base measurement equipment available in any of the civil metal testing lab. Okay, so steel tape. Now it is required to be duly calibrated at a regular interval. People say that, oh, why it is required? I have purchased a tape costing 2000 rupees and it's really nice and it is very accurate and all that. My dear friends, just spending 200 rupees is not the point. But the tape has got a wear tear, you can say, characteristics, and to overcome that, the tape has to be at a regular interval recalibrated against the standards. Now, for that, there is a hierarchy of labs. I will quickly tell you. Now, very simple thing. The tape is having the measurement starting right from the end point. And now it being the metallic tape also, naturally because of wear and tear, the first division may go on getting deteriorated as such. And that is why whenever possible, if required, some people try to element of first division and then start taking the measurements from the second division or something like that. But many times when suppose a depth is required to be measured, so naturally the end point is definitely the reference point, and that is why you are required to sometimes add some bias, which is given to you in a calibration certificate by the calibration service provider. Now there might be so many things which I will go on talking. Probably you may not quickly understand in a first go, but anyway, try. It's my request for all you all to try to understand the things, and then if there are any doubts, we can subsequently clarify or whatever it is. You have to calibrate the equipment. Now you have to calibrate the equipment with a local lab. The local lab might be in your vicinity or might be a few kilometers here and there. The local lab calibrates the equipment with the regional lab calibrates the equipment with the national lab. And this is the entire map, that is the measurement assurance program. Now, when you are choosing a laboratory for the purpose of calibration, you have to maintain the ratio of accuracy of 10. If your tape is say 1% accurate, the lab which you are going to choose has to be 10 times better. Now 10 times better is not 10%, 10 times better is 0.1%. So the laboratory which you will choose for the purpose should have facilities which are 0.1% or better than that. And then of course this goes further. So your own equipment, the local lab, the regional lab, and the national laboratory. That national laboratory is called as NMI, National Measurement Institution. Every country has got NMI. NMI in India is called as National Physical Laboratory, which is in Pusa, New Delhi. And they are officially maintaining the standards of measurement, SI units of measurement in the country, and they are supposed to percolate downtown to the all concerned the measurement standards. So they will be having the facilities which are much accurate in nature, and through this chain of calibrations which I told you, your equipment, your local lab, regional lab and national lab, that is the methodology to be followed. Somebody may feel, why we should go through this chain, why can't we go directly to national lab? The answer is that it is not feasible, it is not affordable, and it is not required. Feasible means there will be few lakhs of equipments in use in the country. So everybody cannot go to Delhi and get their equipment calibrated. So not feasible. Second thing is the standards which they are maintaining are so accurate in nature that you are not required to be tracing it to that level. Your facilities should be only traced to a 10 times better equipments or standards. I think just now I used the word trace. Trace means the establishment of link between your equipment and the standards maintained is the traceability concept as such. So calibration and traceability go hand in hand. As I told you, second point was the feasible, then possible, and the third was affordable. For the calibration purpose, the National Physical Laboratory charges in lakhs of rupees. Not because it is a government organization, even whatever they charge is still a subsidized amount, because the standards which they maintain in their facilities are really very highly accurate in nature. Its basic cost is high, plus its maintenance is also quite cost. It is required to be kept in working condition 24/7, that is 24 hours, 7 days in a week and 65 days in a year and all that. Otherwise, what will happen that if as per our regular office work, if you switch off the standard while going home in the evening, next day when you come and switch on, to achieve the required accuracy, it will be around 4 o'clock or so. So again switch off and go home. So no work is possible. And that is why to maintain the accuracy levels in which they are playing, it is required to be kept in the working condition for 24 hours and all that. So that is the way how the expenditure is quite high, and it is why the charges they levy also are high. And our accuracy levels are not that high at all. We are in percentage, they are in ppm and all that. And so that's why you are not required to go all the way to National Physical Laboratory. You have to go to a local or regional lab, which is just 10 times better than your measurement requirement. Now, there will be a question on your side. Actually, now, as we are not face to face, I think there cannot be question every now and then. We will have, so to say, question answers in a day most probably. So the question in your mind will be that what about the availability of such things for the purpose of calibration, for which this NABL publishes their directory of calibration laboratories. So in your region, who are the laboratories available that you can find out, and then you have to choose the right one from them. Okay, now I will also tell you the address of the NABL website. It is nabl-india.org, because this will be required by us for so many times at a regular interval. So I will be requesting you to know this address also, nabl-india.org. So all the NABL related information will be available to you on this website. I will also explain what is NABL at a right point of time. So coming back to, so this is the way how the map is happening, measurement assurance program and measurement assurance program. So your equipment, local lab, regional lab and national lab. Now, even this has got international dimension, what it is. There are national measurement institutions for every country. Like India, it is NPL, UK also it is NPL, in USA it is NIST. So every country has got a NMI, National Measurement Institution. Might be named, Germany has got PTB and all that. So they are maintaining the standards of measurement which are disseminated downtown by them in their country. But now to have the universal acceptability of your test results or measurement results, there is a regular intercomparison program for the base units within the country's NMIs. I was very lucky to visit the National Physical Laboratory in UK in 1991 on one of our Government of India's program. So that time a team of scientists from NPL India were there and a world comparison program was going on. So naturally there are regular inter-comparison programs between the NMIs, and that's why they maintain the traceability within the countries. So within the country, in our own country, the chain, as I told you, your equipment, local lab, regional lab, national lab, it is the vertical traceability, where you have to maintain the ratio of 10, as I told you. If your equipment is 1%, the service provider who you are choosing should be 0.1% and all that. But in case of the inter-comparison between the nations, NMIs, there is no question of any ratio, because it is just a comparison activity as such. So that is very important. So this map concept is equally important, and that is why NMI is really the supporting facility available in the country. So whether you are a calibration lab or test laboratory, you have to trace your equipments to national measurement distribution standards through the unbroken chain of the measurements. Okay, so this is quickly I try to tell you about the MAP, that is Measurement Assurance Program. This is required to be maintained by all the laboratories with a very simple reason. You have to ensure that there is a free flow of trade or free flow of business. There has to be compatibility within the measurements. I will give a very simple example. Suppose there is a nut manufactured in Pune, bolt is manufactured in Birmingham, and the assembly goes to NASA space shuttle. All those things are happening. In the open trade and free trade all over the globe, all those things are happening. So if at all the measurements made in Pune, measurements made in Birmingham and in NASA, if they are not matching, naturally there will be some problem. And that's why that is the reason why the international compatibility also is required to be there, and that is why I take help of the MAP program as well as the your regular calibration and all that. Now, many times this calibration is a very big buzzword. People say my equipment is so accurate and so costly that it doesn't require calibration, which is 100% wrong concept. The equipment is very accurate and very costly. Doesn't mean that it doesn't require calibration, because every equipment has got a wear and tear phenomena, and that is why it has to be recalibrated at regular interval of time. Of course, I will not take your much time on this calibration scenario, but definitely this is a requirement, and these are very basic concepts. And my dear friends, as most of you are from the engineering colleges, naturally in your tutorship to your students, I am very sure you will try to also tell all these things. Might be an additional thing other than the syllabus, but I feel that you should tell to your students all that, all this map and all those things. Okay. Now we come back to our subject, that is the laboratory accreditation. I already told you the certification versus accreditation. I'm sure people have understood it. Great. Now, the first slide, which is in front of you, is the National Accreditation Board for Laboratory. This is an activity called as NABL, which is being governed by Government of India. It is not Government of India activity, but it is just supported by Government of India. It is National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories. It does include engineering and scientific and medical and everything. Okay. So it is the NABL in India. Every country has got similar scheme. Like if you go to Australia, it is NAMS, NAMAS. If you go to United Kingdom, it is UCAS, United Kingdom Accreditation Service. So every country has got their own accreditation system, which is again based on a guideline document called as ISO IEC 17025, and the current version is 2017. It had earlier versions in 99 and 2005, but the current version which is on is 17017. Now, what is this ISO IEC? I think many of you might be aware. ISO is International Organization for Standardization, and IEC is International Electrotechnical Commission. Both are the institutions based in Geneva in Switzerland, and they do the activity of publishing various standards, okay, for the utility by the industries, institutions, and whatnot. Now, very important thing is that we also in India got institutions similar one called as BIS, that is Bureau of Indian Standards, which is IS. Because again, BIS is also a British institution and all that. So BIS is normally the thing which we call, but now it is in India it is IS, Indian Standard. So Bharatiya Manak Sansthan they call it is in New Delhi. So they are publishing the standards. Now this standard which I am referring ISO IC 17025 is also republished as it is by Bureau of Indian Standards. And that is why if you buy the copy of the standard from them, it will be having a number IS, ISO IC 17025. Okay, so but you have to have this guideline copy available with you. Please don't use Xerox, Xerox, because naturally it will deteriorate in quality and might be quantity means the पीछे वाला पन्ना निकल जाएगा and all that, and quality means Xerox में उसका clarity कम होता जाता है. So it will be my request to all you all that please have a authenticated original copy of this standard for reference in your laboratory. Now here I will tell you another important point, that whenever you are going in for accreditation, because I think by now you must have decided that yes, I have to go for accreditation. Now, very important point is that you have to refer 4 sets of documents when you are going for accreditation activity in your laboratory. First set is the series of 17,000 series of standards 17000. In which there are 3 standards. One is 17000, which is the vocabulary and dictionary of the terminologies used in the laboratory accreditation system. The second one is the standard which you are able to see in the slide, that is 17025-2017, which is the actual guideline document for the laboratory accreditation. And the third one is 17043, which is for the PT ILC program. PT is a profession testing inter-laboratory comparison. Of course, we will not be able to discuss much on this because within 1 hour we just cannot look into, but okay, that is also one activity required to be done. That is, whatever measurement results you are producing are required to establish the horizontal traceability also, and that is done through the activity called as the inter-laboratory comparison or the proficiency testing program. But anyway, for that the standard is 17043. So the first set of standards is 17000, 17025 and 17043. So that is the first set of documents to be referred for. Second set of documents is the documents published by our accreditation body under consideration, that is NABL, and that those standards are available under the publications head in on the NABL website, nabl-india.org, in which right from the format of the application to be sent till the dictionary of the various accredited laboratory and all that, everything is available, and starting from NABL 100, which is again a general knowledge or generic guideline document for this NABL activity, and it's at NABL 850, which is one of the dictionary or something about the activity and all that. So these are the guideline documents which are required to be referred for. For example, there is a document called as NABL 160, which is a guideline document for how to develop a quality documentation and how to develop a quality manual and all that. There is a NABL 141 for the purpose of calculation of uncertainty of measurement, which is also one of the most important requirement is this laboratory accreditation system. If you are a calibration lab, calculation of uncertainty of measurement is a must. If you are a test lab, depending on the requirement of the customer, you can take a decision, but this is very much required. Okay, so you will be required to refer to the documents published by NABL, that is second set of documents. Even another point I will tell you, that what should be minimum qualification for a person working in the laboratory as an authorized signatory for the test reports or calibration certificates also is being guided by NABL through these documents. Now you will say why this is required to be guided, why it is not covered in NABL, this 17025 standard. It cannot be. It cannot be done so because every country has got different scheme of giving you the qualifications in the academics and all that. And that is why in India, suppose what is BE or BTech might not be exactly same curriculum in the other countries. And that is why you might be aware that whenever our children go for further education to other countries, along with their certificate or BE, BTech or something, even they are asked to submit the copies of the syllabi which they have gone through during their course. And based on that, whether the admission for the further course abroad in the US or Canada or Australia and all that, that this is taken for. And that is why BE, BTech in India is not same as BE, BTech abroad and all that. And that is why that point. So this is the second set of documents which is published by NABL required to be referred for. Third set of documents is the technical testing standards. The technical testing standards are being published again by BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, might be sometimes ASTM, or IEC, IS, all those these are the organizations which do publish these testing standards and all that. So those are also required for the purpose. And that's the third set of documents. And the fourth set of documents is the your safety related. So safety related guidelines which are required for the purpose of the laboratory activities also are required. So safety related documents which are the part of the laboratory functioning are also required to be the part of it. So these are the four sets of documents which are required to be referred for when you are developing a laboratory accreditation system. And that's why you should have the authenticated and the current versions of the copies of all these guidelines documents. Okay, so this was also one of the things I thought I will tell you in advance so that the things can go further. So let us go to the next slide, which is there. Okay. Okay, now this slide shows very important issue. Nowadays, all the organizations, might be education institutions or whatnot, they invest in a good amount of money in the laboratory facilities and all that. But it is really not being used in appropriate manner. It is really not. Suppose for equipment, purchase of one of the equipment is it is costing say 20 lakhs. So the 20 lakhs is really not worth just keeping for being used for the students in the lab for the experiments and all that. But if it can be also utilized by the industries for the their benefit and all that, so that's why the laboratories which are in the institutions, engineering colleges and all that, also should think of serving the industry in which they can earn some revenue, and also they can generate further funds for upgrading the facilities or adding some facilities and all that. Because one time equipment purchase might be funded through the management, but every time the things might not be that easy, and there is a funding issue to maintain the department laboratories also is always there in the discussions and all that. And for which purpose, if you start additionally the activity of giving the services to the industries, definitely it has to be looked into. And that is the reason why I think we are going to discuss the things in the next half an hour also, that how the things are going to help for the purpose. Now there are guidelines available from Bureau of Indian Standards that in your civil material testing scenario, that which there are various IS standards available, and those are required to be utilized or guided for by the got guided by the persons working in the laboratory for testing activity and all that. So for which purpose you will be required to have the variety of facilities, and which are required to be upgraded time to time, because sometimes because of the wear and tear, or sometimes because of the technological upgradation, you are required to upgrade those facilities. And that is why many times the funding is the issue to maintain the departmental laboratories. So it is always advised that in addition to just using those equipments for the purpose of teaching or giving the experiments to the students, Even if you can serve the industries, naturally you can earn some amount, which can be input to the again lab activity and all that. That is why this slide is being there, that shortage of funds for regular maintenance, like oiling, greasing, overhauling, calibration, even replacing not some parts which have been worn out and all that. So that is why that is one point. Then solution includes bringing material testing jobs like testing of steel bars and concrete to generate revenue and utilize the same for effective maintenance of the laboratory. Then well equipped with good housekeeping, sufficient storage space and calibrated laboratory with qualified staff bring us the material testing jobs. Now, the persons who are working there in the lab also should be properly qualified, who can handle the testing activity. So handle means they understand what is required to be done. They can handle the test equipment for the purpose and also maintain it properly, because if the equipment is not maintained properly, naturally it will deteriorate in its characteristics faster, and that is why you will be required to replace it every now and then, which is definitely not affordable. That's why people who are there should be competent. So my word comes again back, the competency part is there. So the person who is handling the equipment should be competent enough, and that's why you will be required to ensure that the person who is handling the equipment in the lab should be competent enough, duly trained for the purpose of handling that equipment, so that its functioning also continues appropriately, as well as its wear and tear also is controlled. Okay, then there can be business development activity through this thing, and that is why I think this first slide is trying to tell you that part. We go further. Answer is being no, but chances enhanced if laboratory is NABL accredited. As I told you, that no sooner you tell or you go to the market and tell all the concerned builders and your agencies who are in this civil business that yes, our laboratory is NABL accredited, naturally they will be confident about the results produced by your laboratory, and as such. So confidence level is definitely increased no sooner the testing is done by the NABL accredited laboratories, because the competency part of all the things, that is the equipment, the persons who use their equipment, the methods used by them, the maintained environment, everything is just taken care of, and that is why you are able to produce the results right first time, and that is why naturally you can really generate a business and all that. I remember must be about 20 plus years back, one of the laboratory opposite College of Engineering, Pune. Even I had supported them. It is, I think, Rathi and all that. I don't remember that party's name. They are also in this your construction business, and that was their first laboratory in Pune who got the NABL accreditation for the civil material testing and all that. Of course, now there are so many labs. Even if I remember correctly, I have supported in a Durocrit lab also for the purpose of accreditation. Their training and everything was done by me and all that. There are so many other labs. Anyway, coming back to, so NABL stands for National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratory. Accreditation is the third party attestation related to conformity assessment body, that is the laboratory, to formally demonstrate its competence to carry out specific conformity assessment task and all that. This assessment is being done by a group of whatever group of technical experts who visit your laboratory. Of course, due to this our new friend Corona COVID-19, even nowadays assessments are also conducted in the same fashion which you are conducting this program just now. We are not physically with each other, but it is just through the e-media. So same way they have started the assessment also, but normally the first assessment should be better with the actual visit and all that. When it is your choice, and of course the discussion between you and the NABL authorities. Okay. Now next point is CAB is the body. Now we are aware of the word lab, laboratory, that is lab. But now this is the, we are, once you go for the accreditation, you become a CAB. CAB is not a taxi, but CAB is the conformity assessment body. So lab is called as CAB in this particular laboratory accreditation process. So that is that point. Then of late, liberalization of trade and industry policies of the government of India has created quality consciousness in domestic and international trade and all that. This point I told you just 10 minutes back, that we have to really be global, and for that purpose have the open trade and business, and there should be no technical barriers to trade, and for which purpose this accreditation process is helping, so that the results from any 1702 accredited laboratory are universally easily accepted by all your customers all over. Of course, now as you are in civil business, the universalize is not that much. But if you are suppose a chemical industry and you want to supply some chemical to XYZ country which is quite far off, so if the test results are from 1702 or NABL accredited laboratory, naturally those are having acceptance at the other end of the globe also. That is why globalization में ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बात है. You have to go for the measurements through a 17025 accredited laboratory. In India, it is NABL, which is the body which is supporting for 17025. Then consequences result is setting up of testing labs which would give results at an internationally acceptable level of competence. I think I have told you this point. Then provisional testing provider. Now, as I told you, vertical traceability is the map and horizontal traceability is nothing but the PT program. So naturally, accreditation gives formal recognition of competence of organization that provide provisional testing activities. There are PT providers available in the country. You have to take their support for this PT activity, and they will send you a sample. You have to characterize it and send results back to them, and accordingly they will tell you the score, where you stand and all that. And all those things are being guided in the standard 17043. Then you are also required to use certain reference materials. As I told you, the 7 SI units of measurements are being maintained by, of course, the National Physical Laboratory in New Delhi. But in chemical testing and all that, in addition to that, you are required to have some reference materials which are required to be used as the reference points. So those are also required to be used for the purpose. There are standard reference materials producers, again for which there are guidelines from ISO as well as from NABL and all that. So those are required to be used for the purpose. Now, let us quickly go through these benefits of laboratory accreditation. Increased confidence in testing calibration reports issued by the lab. As you are, as you will become the accredited laboratory, naturally, whatever test certificates or calibration reports you will issue, then you will be definitely more confident about the contents of that, because you have taken proper care and ensure that all the aims involved are competent enough and you have produced the results right first time. Your customer is not required to go to 2-3 labs and get an assurance that yes, what results I got from lab 1 are really appropriate or all that. In the first shot, they should get right results, and that is also possible when you get the results from an accredited laboratory, because the laboratory is taking care of ensuring the quality of results. So better control of laboratory operation and feedback to laboratory as to whether they have sound quality assurance system and are technically competence that is achieved through this accreditation process. Potential increase in business due to enhanced customer confidence and satisfaction. Okay, so that is the things you can achieve. Of course, now you can, as on today, even if you are not an NABL accredited laboratory, you can start supporting the your building industry. Building means your civil industry, and side by side you can go for the accreditation process as such. You build your customers and then also give them further assurance that yes, now we are 170 accredited lab, so our results are right first time and all that. Their customers can search and identify the laboratories accredited by NABL for their specific requirements from the NABL website or the direct, as I told you, when you visit the NABL website and under the publications, there will be directives available for the testing lab, calibration lab, and all that. So you can go through them and choose what is your requirement and all that. Users of accredited laboratory enjoy greater access for their products in both the domestic and the international markets. As I told you, as your accredited lab, the results of measurement produced by the laboratory are definitely having a upper hand in the market, and that is why you can get a better business and savings in terms of right first time and all that. So that way you can achieve. Okay, accreditation body for building material testing laboratories. Now here are sort of a comparison sort of between 9001 and 17025. As the technical measurements and all that, all those things are now involved in the 9001 scenario. Naturally, yes, naturally 9001 certification can be a starting point, can be. It is not mandatory that you should go for 9001 certification. You can directly go for 172 accreditation. But if at all it is 9001 certification is available for district management, but the accreditation is definitely going to ensure the quality of the measurement results, and that is why NABL accreditation provides formal recognition of technical competence of the CABS. CABS is the laboratory, that is certification assessment body. You no sooner you become an accredited laboratory, it is called as CAB. It is certification certified assessment body. You become an assessment body. As you are making the measurements, you become an assessment body for the samples which come to you for either testing or calibration. That is why it is CAB. Thus, providing a ready means for customers to find reliable testing. It is applicable to any industry, irrespective of its size, that is in case of 9001, but in case of NABL, it is applicable only to the laboratory activity as such. Might be engineering laboratory, might be medical laboratory, might be any scientific laboratory and all that. Okay. Then the provision by an independent body of written assurance is given in the certification, but in accreditation, NABL accreditation, which is based on ISO 17025 and all that, it gives you both the technical competence assurance as well as the quality assurance competence and all that. Now this slide is more to explain you what is this international scenario of the accreditation. International scenario is that there is a institution called as APLAC, which is covering the Asia Pacific Laboratory Accreditation Corporation. Then similarly in Europe it is EA, in South Africa it is different, and American IAAC and all that. And all are being totally governed by the activity called as ILAC, International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation. Okay, so ILAC encompasses the entire globe, under which there are regional activities. That is, we are the part of APLAC, Asia Pacific Laboratory Accreditation Corporation, and the NABL. So, if you see the hierarchy, it is the ILAC, the APLAC, and the NABL. And then, of course, your laboratory. So, whenever the audits do take place, you get NABL assessors or experts to look into your laboratory activity. But you are lucky enough. It might be a scenario that along with the NABL auditor, the one more person will come, who will be the APLAC auditor. And then APLAC auditor will not audit you as a laboratory, but they will audit the NABL auditors, how they are auditing the activity and all that. So somebody jokingly said, NABL comes and audits us. Is there anybody who is auditing NABL? The answer is yes. APLAC is there to audit the NABL activities, whether they are really functioning as per the required norms for the laboratory accreditation systems and all that. So this is the way how the things are there. Internationally, the apex body is the ILAC, under which region-wise there are bodies. We are the part of APLAC, under which there is NABL and then our laboratory. This is the again hierarchy of the accreditation activity as such. Okay, so we go further. Now, conformity assessment procedure in India and the role of the Bureau of Indian Standards. Now, as you know, BIS is the basic organization as such who is functioning in this country for the quality purpose. There is a activity called as Quality Council of India, QCI, under which there is Department of Science Technology, who are the member of APLAC and ILAC, and that is why the laboratory accreditation schemes are under this. Okay, so testing calibration labs as well as lab assessment personnel who are being trained to work as the assessors. Everything is the part of this this NABL activity. And the other part of the slide shows that Bureau of Indian Standards is the member of ISO IEC, the standards and regulatory bodies, and of course the specialist bodies, and which is all being supported by the NPL, who are maintaining the standards of measurement for the metrology scenario as such. Now here I am using the word standards and standard again and again. There are two types of standards. One are the actual artifacts or some physical standards. That 1 kilogram of alloy metal block maintained by BIP in Paris was the standard for 1 kilogram. Of course, now recently that has been changed for, but earlier that was the standard being maintained and all that. So that is the artifact which was for the purpose of measurement of say 1 kilogram. And another is the standard is the guideline document. So both are standards. So either the guideline documents or the artifacts for the purpose of SI units of measurements and all that. So that is the thing, and that is why this confirmed assessment procedure in India, that this slides gives you a clear-cut idea as such. And the certification bodies which are functioning in this country are also required to be the part of your Quality Council of India NABCB program. So anybody cannot start to work as a certification body. Like for 9,000, 14,001, 18,001, all that, they have to definitely register themselves with NABCB, the Quality Council of India. Anyway, that is not the subject of our discussion today. But if at all you are going for ISO 9000 certification of your organization, please ensure that that certification body is having their accreditation by Quality Council of India. That is the most important thing you should try to understand from this particular slide. Also, we go further. Because with the available time, I think we have to talk a lot of things. Then testing laboratories, calibration laboratories are as per 17025. Now medical test laboratories, where we are getting our blood and urine, all those things tested, for which the guideline document is ISO 15189. Friends, for your kind information, till 2003, 17025 was also applicable for medical pathological lab, but in 2003, independent standard for medical laboratory was published, that is 15189. So 17025 is the generic standard, sector specific standard is 15189 for the medical laboratories, that is medical pathological laboratories, you can say, or clinical laboratory is the universally accepted terminology for the purpose. Then, as I told you, this 10043 is the standard for PT and interlaboratory comparison. For those parameters where the professional test providers are not available, you have to go for the interlaboratory comparison, round robin and all that. All this well explained is 17043 standard. And those who are working as reference material producers, they have to follow this 1034 standard as such. So NABL is the body who grants accreditation for all these standards which are being followed by various institutions. We are interested in 17025. We means for the civil material testing laboratory. Okay. Now these are the various disciplines in testing laboratories, the calibration laboratory, medical laboratory. I think medical part we will not discuss at all. Now, in case of your civil material testing laboratory, there is no any separate discipline civil testing, but you will be required to go for the chemical testing as well as mechanical testing, in which something might be non-destructive, something might be destructive testing. Like if that steel bar is to be tested, some tests might be destructive, some tests might be non-destructive. But when you are testing your concrete block, naturally it is a destructive testing, all that, for which all the Indian standards are available, which are required to be followed for the purpose. So, for your civil material, civil engineering, the chemical testing as well as the mechanical testings are the things required to be followed for. Of course, covering in detail in this 1 hour is just not possible, but I'm just giving the glimpses as early as possible. Now, calibration laboratories. Now, the equipments which are used in your chemical testing laboratories or the mechanical are required to be calibrated by a calibration laboratory. I am very sure that none of your engineering colleges or anybody is aiming for calibration laboratory accreditation. I think most of you are going for testing accreditation, laboratory accreditation. If anybody is also interested to develop a calibration laboratory for the purpose, yes, it is welcome, but it will be required to be looked into whether what all facilities are there, and most important, how much you are also ready to invest additionally to work as a calibration laboratory. It is a very detailed thing which can be discussed about. I think regarding medical laboratories, I think let us not discuss because this is not no way the part of our curriculum at all. We go further. Okay. So mechanical testing, in which there's the non-destructive testing, then mechanical calibration, and biological discipline. Achha. Wastewater and all, if you are there, all those things are there. So aggregates, then admixture, bricks and precast blocks, cement and concrete, reinforcement steel, then tiles and ceiling panels, all those various materials which have to undergo the mechanical testing. Something is non-destructive and all that. So this ultrasonic testing, radiography, magnetic particle testing, MT, acoustic and emission testing, liquid penetrant testing and leak testing and all that. So these are the NDT parameters which are covered in those testing. And if you're in calibration, naturally dimension will be there. Then impact testing, then UTM and CTM, then tension creep, and so these are the particular test wise what is concerned that has been shown in the slide as such. So you can go. Of course, I'm sure everybody of you is having all this basic knowledge with you. I go further. So now PT testing and all that. Preventive testing determines the performance of individual laboratories for specific tests or measurements and is used to monitor laboratories' continuing performance. So that is very important. And PT is also called inter-laboratory comparison since it involves measurement of results obtained by different laboratories. As I told you, there are various labs who are working as a PT providers also. So naturally for that all these things there. Again, the list of PT providers is available in the directories published by NABL. Again, you have to refer to NABL website and that NABL publications. Okay. Of course, I'm sure none of you are now thinking of going to work as a PT provider immediately. But if you really develop yourself as a good testing laboratory, subsequently you can think of going as for a PT provider. But for which again you will be required to have some additional investments and you have to work out something. And very specific people will be required to be involved for the purpose, which might not be possible for you as a educational institution, all that. Anyway, but PT providers are there and who are following this 17043 standard. But 17043 standard knowledge is required for you because you will be required to do the PT for all the parameters which you are aiming for the laboratory accreditation. You will be required to decide a scope of accreditation when you are thinking of going in for accreditation. You will be required to decide a scope, that is a technical scope of your accreditation. Scope is nothing but your capabilities, and that will be based on the customer requirements. And that is the reason, as I told you, that even if as on today you are not a NABL laboratory, try to search the customers, the builders and all those people who can take your services subsequently. So based on their requirements and all that, you can really work out all those things in detail. It's a detailed activity, and that is why please get involved and then start the things. Okay. Then PT, then results reported by each laboratory are for a measurement are compared to the reference value which is being maintained by that PT provider, and against that they will allot you some score and all that. So what is that score and all that? Again, well explained in 17043. It is called as a Z score. Okay. Then reference material producers part. I think this point I do not know whether we should discuss, but because none of you are going to work as a reference material producer, but this is just a guideline to you because as we were thinking that this will be 1 hour quick program for all. So whenever you will get this RMP word, so you should not be confused. That's why I think you can go through this slide. What is this RMP? That is the reference material producer who are really producing these reference materials. Okay. In India, there are very less of them because even as on today, most of the reference materials are being you can say imported by the laboratories, because India it is not yet up to the mark available as such. But this is a very detailed slide which will tell you if you are a RMP, then how the things should be done about it. Then key steps for now let us quickly go through this key steps for applying to the laboratory by a laboratory to enable to get NABL accreditation. First is that investigation phase. Project owner and team is to be decided, define the scope, as I told you, because deciding the technical scope is most important. Based on the test facilities you are available with or you are planning to procure, you will be required to decide the scope. Scope is along with the qualitative as well as the quantitative capacities. What is qualitative? What is quantitative? That is, what will be your accuracy level or uncertainty level which you will be working, and what are the range, like 1 kilogram to 1 ton or something like that. Means the quality as well as quantity both is required to be decided as a part of the scope decision. Okay, because which is required to be reflected by you in the application which you are sending to NABL, and application has to be sent in the formats given in the NABL documentation. It is not on your just letterhead of your college and all that. There are a lot of information required to be submitted along with the information, along with the laboratory. And nowadays, from July 2018 onwards, the application has to be uploaded into NABL website. No paper to be sent. If by chance or with your more smartness you send a paper, all the papers are sent back by NABL to you, and they say you have to send only or upload the application onto NABL website only. No paperwork. Okay. So gap. So now, as the decision is taken by your management to go for accreditation, you will be required to go for gap analysis. What is required versus what is existing, and then accordingly act for. Then you have to, based on a task list, will be prepared. Then estimated cost and return on investment, which might be required by you to be presented to your top management by this is the scenario. So please allow us to establish a lab which will be also going for NABL accreditation and all that. And these are my probable customers who are seeking to utilize our facilities and all that. Then management decision to go for the purpose, that is accreditation. That there will be an implementation team. Somebody has to own the activity. Otherwise, it should not happen. The story of 4 persons. I think people know. Everybody, somebody, nobody. So it should not have a story of 4 persons. At the end of the show, it should not be that people looking at each other and nobody has done anything. And that is why you have to decide the implementation team who is responsible for everything and all those things. Then select the accreditation body. Of course, in India, it is only NABL. So you have to. There are some other bodies, but which are not having APLAC and ILAC recognition. So please don't go to any other bodies. Develop the required documentation. NABL 160 is the guideline available, but you have to work out a detailed requirement of your document called as quality manual. Then you have to train the people, understand the standard as well as understand the applicable guidelines from NABL, and then accordingly train your own people. Now, internal audit is very important. Whatever activities are being done are required to be audited by those people who are certified internal auditors, but who are not working in that activity. They might be the part of your engineering college or institution, but those should not be involved in that activity. So that is very much required. And after the audit is over, whatever are the things which are not meeting, what is called as non-conformances. The thing which doesn't conform with the requirement is non-conformance. So you have to go for its correction, and then pre-assessment is done by NABL, but it is nowadays not mandatory. But we always advise that go for pre-assessment. As in the final audit, there are n number of problems faced. Then closing those problems might be difficult, and that is why pre-assessment and then final audit by accreditation body, and then you get the accreditation certificate. The certificate which you get is always at least 2 pages. But The first page is the certificate of accreditation, followed by the scope of accreditation. So depending on the scope, it will be multiple number of pages. Like bigger labs have scopes which run into 50 pages also, 50, because there are a variety of facilities for testing or calibration and all that. That's why that part. So the accreditation certificate is at least 2 pages or might be more. The first page is the actual certificate, followed by the scope of accreditation. And so there's also one of the difference between your 9001 certificate and the 1702 accreditation certificate. So the scope of activity is clearly defined and attached in the scope, in the certificate. Okay? I think this is our last slide. Huh? Okay, then preparation for application by the laboratory. So those are being clearly listed. I think these copies you can, all the participants can download and keep in their as e-copy for the reference purpose. So that is that part. Then this is the typical hierarchy of the documents. The quality manual will give you the policy and objectives. The executive procedure manual will give you the process and standard procedure and all that. Then there might be work instructions as such, and then checklist forms and formats and also this is a typical hierarchy you can follow. As I told you, my dear friends, NABL 160 also will give you this guideline, what all should be the contents of your quality documentation and all that. So you can refer that as well as this particular slide which has been shown here. Okay, we go further. Then very important, legal registration. You will have to have legal registration of your activity. Now, even if you are an educational institution, there will be some legal registration available in which the laboratory activity can be shown as such, but the legal registration of your activity has to be there and which has to be also uploaded along with the application to NABL. Okay. Then the laboratory should have adequate facilities and technical competence staff to carry out that and all that. Then compliance with the various clauses in 17025 standard. There are actually 8 clauses in the standard. Out of that, 1 to 3 are generic in nature. Actually, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the applicable or implementable clauses. But my dear friends, please excuse me because even quickly going through these clauses will take at least 2 to 3 hours, which is not possible in this particular program. But please try to have this 17025 copy and go through these various clauses. Okay. Then calibration of all equipments in the laboratory being used for test and traceability and all that, and then must have satisfactorily participated in the at least one PT program or the round robin, that is the interlaboratory comparison. Because unless until this is done, you cannot send application to NABL. You will be required to develop the vertical traceability as per the map plus the horizontal traceability through the PT or interlaboratory comparison. And now this is the accreditation procedure. I think you can go through this. Time to time there has to be feedback between the activity and the laboratory, and this is the way how the things do happen. You have to send the application, acknowledges being sent by NABL headquarters in Delhi. Now it is Gurugram, and they will acknowledge it, and they also will appoint a accreditation officer. So all the further correspondence has to be done with that accreditation officer by giving the reference number which will be allotted to you. Then the quality manual which is sent along with the application will be scrutinized by the accreditation officer, and also you will choose one person who can work as a lead assessor for your activity. So both of them will go through your application contents as well as the quality manual, and then the feedback will be there time to time as you are able to see, and whatever are the lacunas which are to be corrected by the laboratory. Then after that is over, there will be the pre-assessment. Nowadays they say that pre-assessment is not mandatory, but it is always advised that go for pre-assessment so that in the final audit there is no big halla gulla. Otherwise, it is very likely that there are so many problems, and then in the final assessment, if they are being pointed out, then it is very difficult for the labs to close those problems and all that. So it is always advised. Of the record, I'm not able to say, of the record, on the record, not a point, but it is better to have a pre-assessment before you go for the final assessment. And then the final assessment is bit conducted. Normally, there will be team of assessors. One fellow will look into your quality management system, others will look into your technical system, depending on multiple disciplines. Suppose if you are chemical testing lab and a mechanical testing lab, so there will be two technical assessors, one for mechanical, one for chemical, and of course one person will be the lead assessor who will be normally looking into the quality management system. So depending upon that, the things will be there. So all those things can be clarified by the pre-assessment in the pre-assessment activity or pre-assessment audit and all that. So the actual audit is conducted and then the report is submitted by them to by the auditors to the NABL. Nowadays it is all online. So in the earlier days, what used to happen that till last day there will be a report finalized and it will be submitted to the NABL by courier or by post and all that. But nowadays everything is online. So as the activity is over, that day's report is being submitted to NABL and all that. So there is no chance of any correction in between. That's why you have to be more alert and all that. Okay, so the report is submitted to NABL and then there is a committee at NABL headquarters sitting once in a month probably, and whatever are the reports tabled there on that day, all are tried to be cleared. Now it is not a government working that is 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, 9:30 they start, and until the last report table is not clear, the meeting is not over because everybody has got their own activities. There is nobody just that only for the NABL they are working. They are all experts from various fields and activities. So naturally that way, and then it is sent to the NABL chairman for final concurrence and all that. In between, of course, if you are through, that you will get a tinkle from the accreditation officer that congratulations, your assessment is through and you are going to be NABL accredited laboratory soon and all that. So this is the way how the entire process is there. I hope, okay. And discharge part I will not discuss because it is commercial part. I am not expert in that. This goes on changing every year and all that. So anyway, this is a quick, simple example which has been shown to you people as such regarding the charges. For you can log on to NABL website and NABL 100 will give you all these things in detail. The current version will be available. This will be current, I know.
Please wait for 5 minutes. We will resume the system.
It's okay. Okay. I hope everybody is back. Extremely sorry because of the power cut and some problem in UPS, we could not continue. Hello. Yes, sir. I hope everybody is back.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
yeah,
Yes.
great. Yeah, so
Yes,
now
yes.
we can have question answer session. I know it being a very introductory program, a lot of things might be unclear, but for which we can definitely support you subsequently, no problem. But this is just the start of the whole show. So you can start asking the questions. So one by one, कसं घ्यायचं हे बाळा? Hello.
Hello.
Namaskar.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, please. Please introduce yourself and put a question.
This is Professor Mahesh Makwana from MIT World Peace University, Kothur, Pune.
Great. Welcome,
Sir. Good to hear you, sir. It was nice presentation. I have one doubt that for educational institute, if they are running a testing lab, is it necessary to get accreditation?
Yes, definitely, sir. Because you are having accreditation for your educational activity from your other organizations. But for the testing activity, you have to go for accreditation separately than from NABL. Because it is all related to the test results quality. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Are
sir.
you happy,
Thank you.
sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you sometime. Next.
Thank you. See you, sir.
Anybody next? Hello.
If anyone have any doubts, you can ask your doubts by unmute yourself, or you have to post your doubts in the message box. All the participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask directly by unmute yourself.
Camera चालू आहे ना चालू. Hello. Do we assume that everybody is through or thorough? Hello. Out of 80 participants, only one person from MIT asked something good. I appreciate. No other doubts, please. Hello.
All the participants, if you have any doubt, if you have any question, you can ask by unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Hello. Do I assume that there are no doubts? I am astonished. 80 participants, no doubts.
Okay, I think if there are no doubts, then we can close this session. And in case you have any doubt, you can still contact us, and then we will move forward. So we are done for today. Thank you very much, sir, for a very informative session.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. कोणी नाही आहे ना आता, कोणी जॉईन नाहीच ना?
नाही, त्यांना लिंक पाठवायची आहे ना सर.
Okay. 1 hour is quite a bit.
नाही ते ठीक आहे, पण 1 hour मध्ये संपणार नाही हे कळू करेक्ट. हॅलो, गुड इव्हनिंग.
Hello.
Yes, madam.
Sir, I have a doubt, so can I ask it right now?
Yes, madam. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Yes, madam. You can ask the question. Hello.
Okay. It was a very nice introductory session, and I have a doubt. I'm Professor Shruti Pawar from Allard Institute, Pune.
Which institute?
Hello.
Aadhar Institute.
Allard Institute of Engineering, Pune. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Please.
Sir, thank you for giving us your great
Hello.
time. Sir, I have a hello. Can you hear?
Yes,
Hello.
madam. You can ask the question.
Yeah. Sir, actually, my doubt is, as a beginner for handling a lab, which are the initial manuals which we can refer as? As you said, it is 105 and 17000, which are the beginners handling manuals for the beginners as a lab handlers.
Acha, the question is which are the manual for beginner. There is no any manual for the beginner. I will tell you the instruction manual or the operating manual of your own test machine equipment can be the beginners. Please try to develop
Sir,
your expertise on those handling of those equipment. Then subsequently you have to undergo 1 day at least awareness program.
yes,
Which will
sir.
give you a detailed guideline what all is required to be done for. Because 1 hour is too short for the purpose. So 1 hour, 1 day
Okay.
awareness program can be conducted, in which lot of things can be
Okay.
clarified. And as I told you, please try to identify who can be your probable customers, find out their requirements. Based on that, try to develop your
Yes.
system of accreditation. These are the things can be done for. Your which place in Pune? Which place in Pune? Aadhar?
Sir, Allard Institute, ALARD.
Alarm.
Alarm.
ALARD. Alarm. Okay. So you are from Pune only?
LA. Yes, sir.
Acha. Where you are in Pune?
Hello.
Which area? Hello.
Yes, sir. Sinhagad Road, Pune.
Okay, great. So your education institution?
Yes, sir. I'm in the Allard College of Engineering as an assistant professor.
Oh, great. Great. So nice of you. So it is in addition to Sivagad College, there is one more thing in the CII. Okay. It is in Nanded or hello? Your,
Sir, I'm not able to hear you clearly.
your institution is in which place in Sivagad Road? Nanded city?
No, the institution is in. No, the institution is in Hinjawadi phase 3.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, great. Hinjawadi phase 3, great. And what
Yes,
facilities
sir.
you are having there?
I worked as an assistant professor.
No, that's great,
Right now,
madam.
I'm
But
working
what are the
as.
facilities?
Yes, sir.
What are the facilities
What?
available there? In the laboratory, what are the facilities available?
Actually, sir, I'm just a new joinee. As
Oh,
working from home, I'm working from home right now.
great, great. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I have not visited the lab yet, but it was for my general concern. So
Yeah, general. Okay, so when it is
as
specific,
I'm home right now.
you can contact us again. We'll help you out, madam. No problem. The entire consultancy
Okay.
can be also given.
Okay, sir.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you, sir.
Good night. Bye.
In any doubt, you can ask the doubts. If anyone have any doubts, you can ask your doubt.
So,
If no doubts are there, then the today's session is over. Thank you so much, sir, Kukade sir.
thank you,
for
thank you,
giving
thank
some
you.
valuable information.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And
It's my
feedback
pleasure.
form
Thank
is
you.
shared on WhatsApp group as well as on mail. Kindly fill that feedback form till 7 p.m. Thank you. Thank you so much for attending the session. If you have any doubt, you can ask by mail or you can directly contact to us. We'll solve that problem. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Today's session is over. We'll meet tomorrow.
Jai Ram.